and welcome to Rush Racing League Division 4, the last evaluation round of 4 at Singapore this week. I am your commentator, Stito, joined by Rekus. How are you, mate?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. It's always great to be here at Rush Racing League. It's the final week of evaluations here, like you said, at the Marina Bay circuit. It's going to be a fun one because this is a bit trickier compared to a lot of the tracks we've been to over the course of this evaluation pyramid. So far, we've been to already established permanent facilities like Bahrain, and then we went to Interlagos, Austria with the Red Bull Ring, and now we're rounding things out here at a very tricky street circuit, but one that's always provided very good racing here at Rush Racing League. So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, we've had some insane races here. It's been on the calendar for most of our seasons. I can't really remember the last time we didn't have Singapore on there, but yeah, it always delivers, always sort of causes some drama. And like you said, it's a bit different to what we've had over the eval period. These guys have to think a little bit harder about the walls, especially in Sector 2. Going under the bridge there can really cause some dramas. But we'll wait and see. I'm not sure what sort of times we'll see. This is a pretty stacked grid. We had a lot of guys check out, but there's a lot of new names in this one tonight. Stoin making a return after being on holidays. Hopefully be able to get his 2 evals done on this week so that he can be eligible for the draft. But I mean, the draft, talk a little bit about that, because that's next Friday, and obviously these guys have sort of one last opportunity now to sort of prove themselves. How do you feel? Do you feel like there's any pressure on these guys that don't know if they have a seed or don't know if they're being looked at by TPs? I mean, a lot of these names, new drivers trying to prove himself. How do you think the feelings are coming into this weekend?
I mean, there's going to be obviously a little bit of pressure, right? To kind of prove yourself to obviously the team principals, but also to prove to yourself that you are competitive enough to remain at Rush Racing League in Div 4. I mean, Div 4 was such a firecracker of a division last season, and it's got all the ingredients to be a fantastic season once again in this division. And like you said, there's quite a few new names here, and also a lot of returning names really wanting to make their mark here in Division 4 and in the minds of these team principals. I mean, we have Season 7 champion Hennessy on track, and then obviously the return of Stoin, and then a lot of other drivers that we have seen throughout the entirety of the evaluation process. 2 Asian for you, a fantastic drive last week alongside number 1 Swith. Those 2 drivers put on a fantastic dominant performance, just really letting it rip in Austria. Swith has been Swith aka Seba has been very fantastic over the course of this evaluation little micro season, if you will. And then obviously we have some new names like VRB from Formula 7 Racing. He is currently on an LLAP in P19 in the Red Bull. And obviously Reiko Ralph has been a very consistent driver as well. United, and just so many different drivers now. And also, for those of you who are invested in the Governor musical seats, this time he is in an Aston Martin.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of upsets and shocks. I mean, I'm just reading some comments. Hello, Vettel, Tudor. Thank you so much for the subscription, Flubber. And obviously, yeah, Tudor talking about why Whiff's in here. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a shock last season, sorry. Fought for the championship in Div 3, and then obviously that made him move up into the Div 2 evals, and unfortunately hasn't been able to show that same pace. So we'll have to wait and see how he goes tonight. It's a big step down, but we'll have to wait and see if he can sort of prove himself into Div 3 again. We'll have to wait and see, but there's no times on the board yet. I think Claire's about to cross the line and be the first to set a time. See what the pace is. It's a 30.4. There won't be long before we have some more time set. You've got a Williams behind Trio Curve, 30.4 as well. Not far off pole. And there's your fastest time, 30.1. So it's looking like it would be low 29s, 30s at this stage, but there are some really quick drivers yet to do a time. There you go, 2A, 29.1. I just just said that it's a huge margin there to RJ with now on a lap as well. But yeah, like we've seen in this eval, obviously nothing permanent, but we've seen upsets, people moving up and down, people changing teams obviously, but the biggest thing in my opinion is the pace difference from last season for a lot of guys. People getting faster, people getting slower, people taking assists off was the biggest thing, I believe, that shook the fields up. So 4 weeks has allowed us to get a lot of data and been able to hopefully get the right picks done off the top. As Swift starts to cross the line, he'll see what he can do. He'll go P2 with 29.6. Thoughts on these opening laps, Ruckus?
Yeah, I mean, 2A obviously the driver to beat right now. Still, I mean, even Chidung, who is in the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls machine, is 4.3 tenths behind 2A. So 2A set a fantastic lap. He's been very strong through all the qualifying sessions here so far, but this is a track that can really bite you. So even if you do manage to get pole position here, it can be really easy to throw that away in a moment's notice. But still a lot of really quick drivers here. We know Hennessy is fast. We'll see what his time is going to be. And this was also a good period for a lot of these drivers to kind of get used to how league racing is going to function on this game, because like we've talked about in the past, that F1 25 compared to F1 24 is basically, it feels like a brand new game, which obviously it is, but it feels so different from the last one. It feels snappier, feels a bit more responsive. And some drivers have just really adapted really well, and they really like this new handling model, but others just haven't really been up to scratch with it. So we'll just have to see how it's going to play out for these drivers on board with the only driver who is out on a flyer lap that has not set a set a time yet. That is Tyler Mandavy in the Haas, currently in P16. Hasn't set a time yet, but he is going ahead and making his way through Sector 2. Now, this is such a tricky track. I mean, a few misleading lines. The walls are pretty close. I mean, this is probably going to be the hardest track out of any of the eval tracks to really make a solid overtake on. But it should be a really exciting race, because the real life Singapore race can be kind of boring sometimes, but when it comes to Rush, I mean, I still remember the preseason races for Rush last season that we had in Singapore. It was such a good time. As we're going to go and see Tyler Mandavy getting ready to cross the line. He's only got 2 more corners left to go. You can pretty much go, you tap the brake a little bit, then you go full throttle through these corners. Pedal to the metal, burning battery. Now he's harvesting a bit, and it's time good enough for P14, but still 3.5 seconds off of 2A's time.
Yeah, I don't think that went to plan for him. Not using any batteries, so I think he wanted to possibly go again there, but they are not the best lap there for Tyler. We'll have to wait and see what he can do again. He's still P14 or 132. I'd say he probably has a whole second in that. He was on 70% battery crossing the line there. I know for a fact Meso is extremely quick here, just purely because we just did a session here before this race, this practice, and he's very quick here, so we'll see what he can do. But these guys, no one in the 28 yet, 2A getting very close, but there is a bit of a gap there once again for these top 2 back to the rest. So you can really see, it's very easy to see who needs to obviously move up and down, but there's still a long time left. There's probably 9 minutes 40 left. A lot of guys still yet to get a proper time in. I'm interested to see SJ and Rekko Ralph's time. He's just hoping. Very quick over the eval period, but also had a lot of unluck. SJ also last week had a terrible race. See what he can do. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him here. He's not on a lap currently, but this might hurt his start to his lap, at least his prep. Might get his tyres a little bit too warm. Don't know what's going on here. There you go, he gets out of the way.
Yeah, Williams does step aside, let him on through. And so, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's been a very up and down eval period, but there is a yellow flag in towards the end, and I think I am gonna take a look, but I think that I think there was a slight bit of a crash in the pit lane for the Ferrari of Stoin. He's missing an end plate. but luckily he's into the pit, so that shouldn't be an issue. The yellow flag is just some cars getting out of the way, so drivers who are on a flyer lap can continue their flying lap without being impeded. And so far it's been an interesting session, but we still have quite a long ways to go. One thing I am noticing is that there's quite a few drivers getting invalidated laps here. I've seen quite a few earlier on, and oh, that's a time and a half for Rico Ralph, jumping up there with a 129.571. He's gonna jump up to about 3.85 tenths behind the current race leader, or qualifying leader, I should say, of 2A. So it'll be interesting. Now, I know you've done your handful of evaluation races, Dito, so which of these tracks was so far your favorite to do the eval race on?
I think, well, I mean, I think the one that really showed us a lot of some serious pace was Austria. Some guys really delivering there, and really putting on some times that obviously were too quick for what division they were in. But I think that was probably the most eye-opening one. In saying that, though, obviously the racing personally didn't go clean for me. But overall, I would say for all 6 divisions, Austria was one of the best ones to watch. There's a bit of drama there. Who knows though? Singapore obviously tonight we've got Div 4 and Div 2, so could deliver some great racing. But yeah, I would say Austria showed us a lot, mate. We saw a lot of really quick times, but we just got SJ here crossing the line. See what he can do. Got plenty of battery to still burn up to the line, and he will actually jump up to P11 33. So very close in that middle pack there. Not far off the 29s either, but this session is starting to get to the pointy end now. There's a few guys commuted. Has to set a time here, see what he can do. He hasn't got any battery to deploy. 15th, 31.1.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of time left on the board for quite a few of these drivers. And Gangster in that Alpine jumps out to 9200, just directly behind 2A. That's a very close margin there for the Alpine. That's a very strong lap. Now, I mean, this is really your last chance to kind of prove yourself to these TPs, so you're gonna have always that little bit of extra pressure coming to the end of the evaluation races. And this is easily probably the hardest track to drive on compared to the other evaluation races, because the walls are narrow. There's a few wide open spots, but for the most part, overtaking is much easier said than done around the Marina Bay circuit. It's definitely easier when they got rid of that weird little chicane they had up until about 2 or 3 years ago, roughly now at this point. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers kind of progress. And even then, I mean, we have the draft coming up this coming Friday, and then the season starting shortly after that. So the grid that we have here is probably going to bounce around quite a bit. Some drivers moving up to Division 3, other drivers moving down to Division 5. A good handful of them, probably a vast majority of them, are going to stick around in Div 4. And then obviously we have Div 2, which is going to be a fantastic race later on tonight. But yeah, I mean, I've actually really enjoyed myself during these evaluation sessions. It's a very good time. It's a very good racing.
Yeah, and it's probably, like you said earlier, the one chance you get to see some drivers driving teams you never see them again, especially the TP side of things. Like I said to you earlier, I'm driving in the Kick tonight in Div 2, which is a bit of a weird feeling. But you know what I mean. It is very interesting. Like we said with SJ Aston this week, he's been in a different car every single race, and all Stoyan jumps to the top with a 29.184. That is so close. Look how close it is there.
Yeah, a thousandth of a second.
Oh god, that is super close at the top. No one in the 28 yet. Still 4 minutes remaining. Still a massive time drop there from about P5. Actually, top 10 are very close in my opinion. Like, there's not much in that. There's only a couple of corners there for Wef, and he'd be right up into that top 4 if he can just shake up some corners. But see what these guys down the back can do. Trio still in the pits. Tyler not currently on a lap. Hennessy down there with a 144.1, so he hasn't really been able to set a time yet, I would say. But not currently on a lap. So this is the calm before the storm, I think. Before everyone else comes out for their final run. We got 2A. Not on a lap. He's sort of trying to get back to the pits, I think, possibly to get on one last set of tyres.
Ooh. I saw a big snap from Hennessy coming out of the end of that first DRS zone. It seems like he's really struggling in that Red Bull. His setup might not be ideal for him. He may have found out that he's not a big fan of the current setup he has in that Red Bull. He's kind of sliding around a bit, but this game is particularly sliding compared to F1 24. It feels a bit more like 23 in that regard. But regardless, I mean, this is definitely one track you really want to have that car underneath of you. You want to pretty much, you want your car to be extremely stable around this circuit in particular, just because it is so easy to lose the car and you really don't have any kind of runoff to really save yourself. It's just immediately straight into the barriers, and that is night done. But he is going to get a tow here, Hennessy, from his teammate VRB. And the other Red Bull, the number 99 Red Bull, giving a tow to the number 2 Red Bull.
I think there was actually a bit of an impede actually there, because he's backed off.
Yeah, but he's got full battery now, so I think this is the actual push lap here from Hennessy. He's going to make his way down into turn number 1. Going ahead, navigate through the S's here as he makes his way through sector 1. He's going to make the run down to the line, going into the next corner, getting ready to start that DRS. Quite a few cars ahead of him though. There is a V-Carb, a Williams, a Sauber, and a Mercedes up ahead as he activates that DRS. Putting pedal to metal, but he's not really using a ton of battery here, so he might just be trying to get those tires to the most minimalistic amount of tire life that they have, and also the lowest amount of fuel that's possible in that Red Bull before really trying to make a push for it.
Yeah, it's interesting though. He should have enough time to go back around, but his tires will definitely not be optimal here. We've got Trio on a lap though. He's in the Williams currently down in P14 at 30.4. He doesn't need much of an improvement to jump up a fair few chunk of spots. He can get into the top 10 with a big chunk of time here. We'll see what he can do. He's got a fair bit of battery. He's sort of coming through the second sector. We're going to retirement. That's 2A.
2A!
I think he's in pits. Is that on track?
Yeah, he retired into pits. Alright. That's good.
Oh, good. But Trio coming through the dreaded middle sector. And he's running one end plate, so this is definitely not an ideal lap here for Trio. He'd be struggling here in this little sector. Be a fair way off the pace, unfortunately. We'll jump up the top. We'll see what Meso's doing, because I know for a fact he can be quick here. We'll see what he gets. He's got a toe in front too, so this could be interesting as to Mercedes. Would be happy with this if this was a real life event. P5, P6. Meso though coming through the middle sector. He's actually set the fastest first sector, so this could be pole here for the Merc. He uses all the track there. He's almost brushing the wall. Very easy here to just tap that wall on a game, unfortunately, invalidate you, and you got another retirement. That's in the pits. Gretto, unfortunately, P16 not really able to piece a lap there together. Stoyan's done.
Yeah, Stoyan's done. Yeah, Trio Kev pretty much immediately pulled into the pits at the end of his lap. Tyler's done. Pretty mixed results here for Haas so far, but this is still just evacuation races, and that is Hennessy spinning into the wall onto the bridge. The yellow comes out, and Hennessy will definitely start from the back of the grid. He just lost it going into the bridge part of the track as Meso jumps through with a mighty fine lap, a 128.551, 0.6 of a second ahead of Stoyan, and hot dang, that is a fantastic lap there from the Mercedes.
Yeah, that's very quick. Currently the only one. We'll see what Seba can do. He goes into the 28s too. There's only 2 drivers currently in the 28s. See if the middle pack can do with crossing the line. Can he get in the 28s? No, he can't. He's 29.5. RJ is the next to cross the line in the McLaren. That's a huge lap there for Meso. See what RJ can do. across the line, and he will jump up to P3.
Yeah, things are getting mixed up here in qualifying here, but as we say before, qualifying is one thing, the race is the big one. And I mean, that is such a fantastic lap there from Meso. I mean, even though there's only one other driver who got into those 128, he was still 0.4 of a second off of Meso's time. So that is a fantastic lap there from Meso. That might definitely turn some heads for some TPs. And that is definitely some wicked pace. Now, the pace was definitely wicked over one lap, but how is he going to do over the course of 22 laps here? And speaking of the upcoming race here, Dito, what strategy are you predicting is going to be the go-to for this race? Are we going to see medium to hard or hard to medium? I don't think the softs are really going to come into play, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on strategy?
Yeah, you'd be bold to touch the softs unless the safety car obviously came out with a couple of laps to go. Maybe you might chuck them on, but most people would have used all 3 sets in that quali. But yeah, I think we've seen pretty much over the last 4 races that it's medium hard is the optimal one. Sometimes people have been chucking on the hards and going long, and then getting on the mediums towards the end, and that seems to work if you can hold the pace, if you can keep up with the pack on the hards. We saw it last week. A few people try and go long because there was a bit of, they wanted to see if they could get onto the softs at I can't remember where that was, Austria, I think, but that did not go to plan. So softs very rarely come into play, but I think most people will start on the mediums and then go straight into the hards. So here we go. We got formation lap, so we're gonna have a bit more of a chat. Guys can practice their starts here, but yeah, a few comments coming in about Meso's time. Div 2. I mean, yeah, maybe. 28's probably be where we're seeing Div 2, I'd say. We'll have to wait and see. It's not far off Div 2, but we'll wait and see. I think most people, maybe even a 27 if we're lucky, but we'll wait and see. Everyone else, let's see what the tyres are. Sorry guys, I forgot to put that up. And there you go. A few guys starting on the softs. Did not see that coming. Grino and Hennessy down in P17 and 19 going for a bit of a gamble, which is fair enough, down the back. See if they can chop through the field.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because we know Hennessy, he's quick. We know Hennessy's quick, but he just couldn't seem to get that Red Bull going underneath of him. Having some struggles through qualifying, and then Greedo also couldn't really get a lap together. So, I mean, the softs could potentially work out pretty decent here, but the big issue with the soft tires is that tire degradation in this game is way more brutal compared to previous titles. Like, you really chew through tires quite consistently here in F125. It's like they're basically made out of paper mache on a lot of circuits, and those soft tires are really going to have no kind of life in them for much long, or very long. So, I mean, if you're on the soft tire right now, if you are Greedo and Hennessy, you're definitely going soft to hards, because that is the only strategy I can see. If you can manage to keep your tires within a window to do a soft to medium, then that is fantastic. But once again, those medium tires really fall off a cliff in this game. And when you reach that cliff, it's not like in some other previous F1 games or even other simulators where you just gradually feel that tire where it just kind of hits you. It just hits you like a freight train.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's very actually common here that people run either a quality or a race setup, because the differences are pretty big to try and get that tyre wear up. You can get about 15% tyre wear difference in your setup, just depending on your suspension. Like you said, it's really violent on this game. 2 stops, I think, will be pretty prominent throughout this season, especially on tracks, with heavy tyre wear, like Saudi and all that. But here you go, let you take us away, mate.
All right, so we see those 5 red lights going on, and it's about to go green here in Singapore, and it's lights out, and away we go. Mason now leading this pack down into turn number 1. So far, it's been a pretty clean start. Not a lot of chaos here. Ooh, a little bit of bumping and barging here in the back. Hennessy and Greedo already making up a few positions in that backfield. But it's a very good start there from Meso in that Mercedes. Going down through the first DRS zone. And there's a big contact. Greedo is into the wall. Spun around. And the number 32 piece of Cash App is not having a great day.
Yeah.
That victory payment has been declined.
Yeah, he that was all by himself there. Unfortunately, he actually got on the power a bit too early and spun it around. But it's not the end of the world. He can rebuild from that. It's not over yet for his race. But we'll see. There's a few moves going down here with up into P9, having a little bit of a charge. This track is not the easiest to overtake on, and Seba getting super close on the back of Meso now through that hairpin, and really easy to overcook it straight in the back of him. He's actually under some pressure from the Ferrari driver of Stoyan, who will be hot property in the draft. Whatever division he is in, he will be hot property. Whether or not Ferrari keep him into the new season is the question. But he is on a charge right now. He's on very, very sort of close parameters to Seba, and there's also some moves. The two Alpines looking super quick here, Gangster and Claire. Claire's made up a few positions on the start as well.
Yeah, the thing I just saw is I'm coming through the last few corners. Stoyan went a bit wide and then collided with RJ. I don't see damage on either car, but that could have been a lot worse than it actually was. As Greedo gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, his day just keeps going from bad to worse here in this eval race. Making a pit stop due to some damage, and those soft tires definitely not working out for him. And then he gets the 10-second for the pit lane. He did switch to the hard tires though, so he's going to try to get to the end on this set of the Racing Hard compound. But right now, it has pretty much just been the Meso and Seba show.
Yeah, there's a few battles spread out throughout the field, but it's a bit of a DRS strain until some guys start to make mistakes and that tyre wear sets in. And we are seeing the top two break away from Stoyan here, 1.3 now. The longer they stay out of DRS, the further they're going to get. If Meso and Seba are smart about this, they will take away this race very quickly. But Seba goes up the inside of Meso and he gets it done before the corner. That's a great move. He needs to put the car on. Gets it done there. We have a change of the lead, and P4 here. RJ gets the job done on Sol. There's a few moves happening. You see the Alpines, they're very close to each other here. They're actually battling quite hard. See what happens. There's moves happening everywhere in the turn 1. Jeez. Car wide.
I think Sol might have collided with Gangster a bit, and RJ getting very close for cover there against the Alpine driver as they make their way through Sector 1, entering the DRS zone. And right now, RJ is stuck in a bit of an Alpine sandwich, but pulling away from one Alpine and really gaining on the other.
Yeah, this minute.
Gangster shakes for a move on the Salt, but just doesn't quite get it. I mean, this is looking very dicey here, Dino.
Yeah, it's just not helping their race though. The Salt's now 1.5 off the top 3, so the longer they fight, it's just going to allow the top 3 to run away. But these guys at the top have a serious pace, so that's not going to help either. But yeah, it's heating up, and you'd think this is obviously a proper league race with points, but it's not. It's just the evaluation. These guys still racing as hard as ever. Have a look at some position changes. There's been a few people on the change. Right, we've got obviously the biggest loser, 2A down 6 spots, which is a bit of a shame. No pace, but watch out for him until we make a recovery. And not really big gainers. I mean, Salt's up 3, Lifts up 1, and then most people up 1 spot. Weeded and Hennessy up 2 down the bottom, but yeah, unfortunately 2A down 6 spots. Oh, what's happening here? Oh!
Oh, that's Claire. Claire's out of this one.
Yeah, there's a car in
Contact with potential with the wall, and Sulfur by Chips gets a 10-second time penalty for a collision with RJ, and that is a VSC that is out on track at the moment. So It is a virtual safety car, a full course yellow. And it's gonna let his drivers to kind of cool off a bit because some of these drivers were going for some insane moves. You would think that this is the battle for the championship. You would think this is like sudden death with everything just kicking off, but no. This is just an eval race. But it is the last eval race, so everybody's pretty much fighting to secure a spot on the roster for one of these teams here in either division.
Oh my
God. Oh, so many speeding penalties. That's gotta be a Guinness World Record for how many penalties we've seen under a VSC in a single moment. That is 5 drivers with penalties for speeding under a VSC.
That's huge. We did say this earlier. I actually don't think we mentioned it, but the speed limit here is 60 k's into the pit lane, which is a bit different to most tracks. And look how many it caught out. We've got so many drive-throughs, 5 drive-throughs, and that is the top 2 both have drive-throughs. Stoying, this is just filling this lap. His biggest competitor, Gangster, and the top 2 both have drive-throughs.
Yeah, so I mean, one man's penalty is another man's podium spot, as we see here. Yeah, so a few of these drivers going in to pretty much serve that. And Mason gets a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane as well, so the pit lane has just been a bit of the bane of some of these drivers' existences. Second driver to get a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane. There's another caution flag out. And I believe that is a V-car facing the wrong direction. This one is Chi Dung facing in the wrong direction this time round. He's able to get back and going, but he lost several positions there on what seems like a bit of a spin on his own, I think, is what happened. But luckily, unless it's floor damage, there's no real damage on that V-car.
Yeah, hopefully he can keep going as there's been some big crashes in the last sort of 5 laps. That incident with Claire Revolt, I saw that Alpine flying, actually doing, he was about 5 meters off the ground.
Ooh!
So, yeah, big crashes. What's happened here?
No, I'm just, oh yeah, there's a bit of a gaggle here of cars, but I was just reacting because I didn't even see the Alpine Airlines incident that happened. I feel like that also happened very recently with somebody else. I feel like there's another incident where somebody became an airplane. It might have been a while ago, or maybe I'm thinking of a different series. But it's really funny when you see a Formula One car go airborne because it's not supposed to do that. I mean, that's part of the reason why this whole ground effect floor was reintroduced anyway at the beginning of 2022, was to keep these cars pretty much glued to the ground. And oh, I remember what it was. It was actually, I think it was Monaco qualifying. We saw Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari go airborne momentarily.
Yeah, we've had a fair few airborne incidents also here at Rush. And Baku reminds me of one. But yeah, it's always an interesting side when you jump to the camera. Yeah. Luckily, it's just a game and everyone is okay. There's some battles going on here. This P4 down, or sorry, P5 down is getting extremely heated. There's about 3 drivers here really battling. We've had a great race up into P5. And he's got Reco, Ralph, and 2A there. 2A's also made a solid recovery from his earlier race.
Yeah, I think that drive-through really kind of helped out a lot of these drivers, with 5 drivers getting a drive-through penalty and some of them getting an additional 10-second penalty for speeding in that pit lane. Yeah, actually a few drivers still have to serve it. Chi Dung still has to serve his, Seba still has to serve his, and Gangster still has to serve his as well. So there's 3 drivers still having to serve the drive-through penalty, and an additional 3 drivers still having to serve their 10-second penalty, which is, at this stage of the race, is probably more than likely just going to get slapped onto their time. Sebo takes his drive-through now, so Gangster's probably going to follow suit, which he does. So that means Stoyne does inherit the lead of this Grand Prix so far. And it's, I mean, he was already a hot commodity in the draft talks. So I think this is really going to boost his profile even more.
Yeah, he's done everything right. He obviously has a Pinnajet, but he has no drive-through. He can just focus on his own race now. 1.4 second back. There's nothing to sneeze at though. RJ can reel that gap in. And this battle here, look at this. Rico and Whiff. Jeez, it's super close. Oh no, big contact.
There's a spin. Oh,
Big contact.
multiple cars. Ooh, and that rejoin could have been so much worse. But yeah, I mean, these drivers are racing super hard. So as unfortunate as it is, it's pretty much just to be expected. No fault to the drivers themselves, but when you're racing this hard through this narrow of a track here in Singapore, I mean, contact is just going to happen. Your Formula 1 car is going to resemble more of a Formula Drift car through some of these corners, especially when you get that gentle little love tap nudge just sending you just in the wrong direction, cooking your tires even more than they probably already are.
Yeah, that was I don't know what happened there. It looked like it's just not really an easy corner to make it pass work. I haven't seen many successful ones there. The exit of the corner really tightens up. Not a lot of room, but man, unfortunate for Ralph. He's jumped down to P6. Biff's still on a charge, but he's lost that gap now to the top two, definitely. I'm interested to see where these medium guys start hitting, because if he's starting to hurt, there's been a tyre wear in this game, it's pretty brutal. He's starting to be getting around the pit window.
Yeah, it's really peculiar too, in terms of just how everything is really going to play out, because we know that RJ does have that 3-second penalty for track limit violations, which is so far the most tame penalty we have seen here tonight, which is pretty crazy to say. But yeah, I mean, Stoyan is pretty much doing everything to really improve his draft stock to get a win here on the final race of the evaluations here in Div 4. And I mean, he's doing everything right. He's keeping the car facing in the right direction. He's keeping his car planted to the ground, not sliding ground, not joining Alpine and joining the airline industry. And oh, what has happened now?
No, Tua just made a little bit of contact. Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, he's missing that front left end plate, or front right end plate, sorry. So it's going to be a bit tricky to kind of navigate. I mean, you're also in the dirty air of that kick Sauber just up ahead, so it's not gonna make your day any easier. He's gonna get super close there to the back of that kick Sauber, trying. Maybe he's gonna go for it here, but he doesn't have that end plate, so he's gonna take the corner just a bit wider. And if he's not careful, and I can tell he's definitely taking the esports line through the start finish straight. But if he's not too careful, he'll get a penalty that will really benefit Walk Judge, who's just patiently waiting behind.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention Walk Jet. Up into P5, he definitely has had a great race, because he's started the fairway down. He's up 8 spots. So's Whiff up 7. And Trio, Tyler also, and Commuted, worth mentioning, are all up 7 spots. So some guys really proving themselves in this race. Vettel, they had drive-throughs, mate, unfortunately. Drive-through penalties.
They had to drive through and get some Jollibees, is the official reasoning. And Tyler joins the penalty club. He's got a 3-second time penalty for track limits as well. Now, VRB getting a very snappy there in that Red Bull. Almost got T-boned there by Tyler. I was watching that from the POV of Tyler, and yeah, that could have ended very, very badly. And it could have also brought this pack a bit closer together, so kind of benefiting those who had that drive-through with the intervention of a safety car. But whew, these drivers are really pushing their cars to the limits and beyond.
No pit lane entry Vettel, unfortunately. We got some pit stops now. Yeah, RJ with all pitting. Actually, a lot of guys pitting now. See the tries like ups going the hard tyre to the end. But yeah, Stoyan doing everything he had to do. He obviously hasn't had it easy, but he avoided getting himself a penalty. And now he's just got a massively healthy gap, 6 seconds. Still has to pit, but he's only really fighting himself now. It's his race to lose. As we see, the undercut might come into play here a little bit for some of these guys. Wogjet probably will have to pit this lap to avoid that from the guys behind. It's your take, mate, about the undercut in this game. It's pretty huge. We've seen it over the eval races, people jumping up massive amount of spots.
Yeah, I mean, the undercut here is going to be a particularly interesting case just because we've seen quite a few incidents here in this race. Drivers just really pushing their cars to the absolute limits, but also getting really close to having major accidents. And I mean, we saw Alpine Airlines earlier, and I mean, a good amount of contact. I mean, I can think of the incident between, I believe it was 2A, Reiko, and Whiff having a bit of a moment there earlier on in the race, which saw them kind of collide and slide for a bit and then collect the end plate of 2A. But a safety car would really throw the entire undercut straight out of the window into the Marina Bay itself. But I mean, if there's no safety car, if everybody can just kind of get into the rhythm and not cause any more incidents, then the undercut can really work out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety car would fall into the hands of the top three, definitely. Out of top five, actually. But yeah, it's not looking like that's happening at this stage. Got a really good battle here between Wogjet and 2A. They're not opting to pit. They went around another time, so they're obviously happy on their tyre. Just won't allow the guys behind to really push and reel in that gap a bit, but they will have the tyre advantage towards the end. So we might even see that a bit more this season, people opting to try and get a bit more of a tyre advantage. Or Wogjet and 2A maybe a bit of contact through that middle sector. They're getting really spicy now. Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, this is pretty much, that whole sector has just been bumper car lane here in this eval race. I mean, you can tell that these drivers are really giving it everything they've got. They are driving their cars to the absolute limit, and there's a yellow flag that was very quickly cleared up. I believe that was involving, a Tennessee and Gangster colliding with each other. I'm surprised there's not more damage on either one of those cars, because I mean, these drivers are really getting physical. I mean, has anyone told them that dude, this is Formula 1 and not UFC, just because of how hard these two are fighting? And oh, what's happened to Wogjet?
He's in the pits, but there was a yellow for something that missed. Sure what.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but good to know that it was just a pit stop. So he's gonna try to molt out of those medium tires and onto the hards, and then he's definitely gonna go to the end of the race.
Yeah, it was actually Gritto. He spun in sector 2 there, so not the race for him, unfortunately.
There's too many blues, too many blue cars in Formula 1 right now.
We've got some moves here. Trio Cam and Wogjet's going side by side. Wogjet's tyres obviously struggling to get up to temperature, and look how close it is here. This could be dangerous. Three wide, 2 Williams, 1 kick. Oh, jeez, that was close.
This is nerve-wracking, and I'm not even a TP.
Oh no.
But collide. Oh no, the 2 Williams collide. And then now, a penalty I haven't actually seen in a hot minute, crossing the pit exit line, is a 10-second for BRB. That is very unfortunate there, but these 2 Williams are really battling tooth and nail. And I mean, something that you don't really want to see in if you're a Williams TP, you definitely don't want to see that. But luckily, it is just in the eval race, but these drivers are still fighting like there's a championship on the line.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they're fighting so hard here, but they should be able to work together. They'll be able to build that gap back up. As it's another pit stop, our race leader, Stoyan, exiting the pits, and Whiff jumps. Stoyan, that's pretty big. That's huge, actually. Well, undercut must be absolutely massive here, because Whiff wasn't near Stoyan in any means. So that's a huge undercut, but he does have a 3-lap tie.
Oh, another one.
Whoa.
Another penalty for crossing pit lines. So that's something worth noting for the upcoming races that we'll have here at Singapore. It's just that pit exit line it has grabbed two separate drivers now. It grabbed the V-carb of Greedo just now, and then the Red Bull of F7 just a few moments ago. So it's clearly that, I mean, we've actually been seeing that quite a bit here in the eval races, that a few drivers are getting hit with the penalties for the pit line or pit limit infringement.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't see that often, but it's definitely still a thing you can get. This battle here is Stoin and Whiff. Stoin's not wasting any time here to try to get by. Does not want to be stuck behind that kick. He's probably frustrated that he's even behind the kick. But late move.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is cinema at its finest here. This is peak Rush Racing League content here, ladies and gentlemen. You are seeing two drivers leaving everything on the line here at Singapore for no points whatsoever, but just purely for the love of racing and also for just the absolute pride of outdriving your opponent. We'll see if Stoin can get the move done this time. He's got DRS, he's got the speed. He thought about the move, but once again, Whiff is making that Sauber look very wide.
Yeah, he went for the little fakey there to try and get Whiff to maybe go deep under brakes, which actually worked, but wasn't enough for Stoin to be able to capitalise on it. But I don't think it's long here before Stoin gets some sort of move done. He just needs to take his time. He knows the guys ahead need to pit. RJ, though, is the only guy that I think Stoin is probably worried about. He is now broken far away and is basically our race leader when these guys are in pit, which is not what Stoin would like, because he had this race sealed up and then that undercut actually reeled in a 6-second gap. So let's see if he goes for the move here on this little PO straight that wasn't on this game last season. Sorry, on 24. As he does, he goes for it. Oh, he jumps the curb. Does that mean Whiff's going to actually go back up the inside? It doesn't. But yeah, not the cleanest of moves, but he gets it done.
I thought there was actually a little bit of contact between the Sauber and the Ferrari, but I don't see damage on either vehicle, so maybe there wasn't, or maybe it's just a weird camera angle I got. But yeah, I mean, these two drivers, if this is a battle we're going to see throughout the regular season as well, then this is going to be such a fun battle to watch between both Stoin and Whiff Matisse. And I mean, Division 4 is looking very spicy. Now I know we're going to lose quite a few of these drivers to Div 3 and Div 5, but I do think right now that this has been a fantastic Grand Prix to cover. We still have about 8-ish laps to go here though, so it's not quite over yet, but you really got to start thinking about some strategy calls here, because right now, I think if we take a look at pit stops here, yeah, so Governor's the only one who's yet to pit. He's losing heaps of time to RJ, so I wonder if actually SJ is going to try a hard to soft strategy here, because that would be an interesting one. We didn't really see the soft strategy come to fruition because most of those cars getting damage or penalties, but I mean, maybe the hard to soft would work out.
Yeah, jeez, that'd be a push. I think SJ would be struggling with tyre wear as it is on this game. What's here? They're going to move up the top. Watch it. But yeah, softs would die at about 2 laps here. So yeah, you'd have to make sure you had that in you. And is it worth it? The mediums would be just as fast, in my opinion. See what he does anyway. We've got a few pitters. There we go. What did he try on there in the mediums? He hasn't gone for the softs. And he's only rejoined. He'll probably get P12 after 2A gets past. Sorry, Gangster. Oh, God, that's close. And that's not the worst. If it was a real race, he'd be able to get points in this one. But but he'll be super quick now. Everyone in front has mediums, so see what he can do. Meso gets the job done. This is another little tight little battle pack here. Probably our closest battle on track.
Yeah, these drivers are really fighting tooth and nail here. I mean, even directly in front of them, you have Seba and Wogjet. No, that is a V-Carb, so that's a lap to V-Carb fighting with a Williams. So I believe that's Greedo. So Greedo, who has definitely not had it's definitely been a race to forget here for the Visa Cash App. But, I mean, Meso in a pretty decent spot now. He does have the McLaren of Com United directly behind him. And there's a Haas directly behind him. Two Asian as the governor on those fresh mediums just jumps Gangster, jumping up into P11 here. And now he's going to try to go on a hard charge past Triokev. But that is much easier said than done because there is a ginormous train here. A massive DRS train from Triokev all the way up to Meso. And actually, I think now Wogjet is part of the DRS train as well. Yeah. But Sibo gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. So that really hurts his running. But he's still 3 seconds ahead of Wogjet. So, I mean, if he keeps his pace, then he'll keep that P3. Or P5, I mean.
Yeah, I think he'll still break away from Wogjet. But we'll see what Wogjet can do if he gets his clear air now. There's a yellow there, that's a retirement, I think, in pits, no? But yeah, a lot of guys just sort of losing it a little bit now, getting a bit of track limit penalties. There's another one, VRB gets a 3-second tyre wear, and just a fatigue. It's very hard to keep this sort of momentum up on this track. But still, the most notable battles are probably in this middle pack here from P7, Wogjet down to P9, and then obviously Loco with P3. I think RJ is in trouble here. I think Stoyan is starting to reel that gap in, and now Ture gets a 3-second.
Yeah, everybody's been getting that 3-second time penalty as well, so I mean it's easy to do about this track because the track limits are very easy to cross in this racetrack. And oh, there's a Visa Cash App. It's Greedo once again in the wrong direction, but he's got to be careful. There's two cars coming directly behind him, including the other V-Carb. Both of those get through, but man, this has definitely been a race, and that's him spinning around again. Yeah, Greedo, he is just having a race that just keeps going from bad to worse to abysmal.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, that is really unfortunate there for Greedo. Hopefully it's just an off night there for the V-Carb because, yeah, it's not looking super great so far. What is looking super great, though, is a battle that we might have here between RJ and Stoyan, and F7 VRB is out of the session. He has called it quits. He is going to go ahead and retire, so that's our second retirement of the night. And man, and Greedo getting another penalty and a big spin into the wall. That might be, well, luckily it is reduced damage here. Otherwise, that would have been race done for the Racing Bull.
Yeah, he's not had the greatest race, has he? He's definitely not liking this track, but we'll see what he can do if he gets drafted. And the Haas two-way goes for a very nice move on Wogjet. He's got some work to do though with that penalty. See what happens here. And the moves up the top. Finally, Stoyan catches RJ. And even though RJ had a penalty, Stoyan's passed him on track. So that's a huge out. And definitely showing his pace this week. And we got a retirement. And that's Greedo. He actually hit the wall in Sector 2 by the looks of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a bit late for a safety car, because I mean if we get a safety car at this point, then this race is gonna end under a safety car. But yeah, I mean I agree with Chad. There's quite a few teams that are looking pretty good here. Sauber's looking good, Ferrari's looking good, Mercedes had a good start, but just penalties just really kind of threw a wrench into their works. But yeah, I think going into division, or going into the draft that is coming up on this Friday, I think there's a lot of drivers that are going to be very hotly debated in terms of basically almost like a bidding war for these drivers, because I mean Stoyan's been doing fantastic all night. RJ's been doing pretty decent, and he'd be in a much better spot without that penalty. Whiff has had a fantastic drive tonight. Reiko also having a very good drive tonight. Seba not having the drive that we would have expected from him, considering he's pretty much at a 100% podium rate here in Division 4 for the evals, at least for the races he was in. But 2A is having a pretty decent recovery drive, so I mean there's a lot of drivers that these TPs can really keep an eye on as we're down to the final 3 laps of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You're hitting the nail on the head, and obviously it's tough. There's a lot of these guys that will move up, obviously, and like you said, move down. So it's tough to know how they're going to go in the higher divisions, but you can learn a lot from just watching these guys, just how they drive, how they turn into how they do their lines and everything, how they make passes. It doesn't really matter what division they're racing in, just to be able to see them race. And talking about racing, Reiko thinks about it on whiff, but has a bit of a slide and actually loses the momentum. But I think these two are going to battle for this P3 here till the end. But you can just see with the time differences, you know, obviously in quali with some 28s, and then in this race, got about a 6-second gap, top 6 up. Obviously 2A2 just super quick into 4. So we'll have to wait to see where these guys end up. But for right now, it does deliver some insane racing. Seeing the real fast guys try and get through the field. I think the closest battle that's going to go to the end will be this P3 battle between Vettel and Whiff and Reiko.
It's crazy for Vettel to be fighting for a podium in a race he isn't even entered in. Shows how good the driver is. Can get a podium in a race he's not even a part of. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. This is going to be a fantastic battle. And I mean, it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to draft night. It's going to be so awesome to see who goes where, and we can put the speculations to rest. I mean, we may see Reiko in a Red Bull by the end of it. We may see Governor in a completely different car again. But yeah, I mean, regardless of who goes where, I think we're going to definitely see some fantastic racing this season. We got the full season coming up here shortly, and we got a battle coming up here in a very quick moment, as once again it is the Sauber v Ferrari battle. This has been a very fantastic battle, Whiff and Reiko. I mean, this has been pure cinema, a masterclass from both of these drivers, and 2 drivers that are really giving it their all with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, they've got every point to prove here. They only got 1 more lap here. What Whiff and Reiko can't do is get themselves a penalty. Oh, a bit of contact there, but we don't know how many warnings they have. They have a lot of penalties around them, so they might have a couple. But they just can't make any mistakes, as you know, Stoyan's about to come across and start the final lap. We'll see how they go. Oh, just as I said it.
The commentator curse kicks in.
But that just, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, the commentators here at Rush Racing League are pretty good at avoiding commentator curses, but there was one right then and there, and Tyler Mande, as I talk about penalties, Tyler Mande gets another 3-second time penalty for track limits. This is such an easy track to get track limits on, and a lot of these cars are pretty much sliding around the circuit. But yeah, now, I mean, Stoyan is pretty much just going to be uncontested for the rest of this race. Oh, there's a Mercedes stopped. Meso is spun around, almost collects a Haas. Oh, it's a 10-second time penalty for colliding with SJ. So SJ was part of that. I mean, penalties are flying all over the place. It's like Oprah Winfrey saying, you get a penalty, you get a penalty. Everybody's getting penalties here.
Yeah, it's going chaos here on this last lap. The battle's still between Ralph and Whiff's just sort of plateaued a bit because obviously that penalty. But look how far SJ and Wojciech came from that pit stop, they could get up a few more spots here, especially SJ if they can get a little bit closer due to these penalties. Those mediums really delivered for the Aston there. But that last lap just shows how chaotic it can get at Singapore. I mean, look at the penalties, but we'll jump on board with Stoyan as he crosses the line to win on return from holidays, and that just shows what type of driver he is. He crashes over the line. RJ will get P2. Actually, he might. Yes, he will. Whiff. No, Whiff gets it.
Whiff got it! By 0.006 of a second. Ooh. I remember the win in Austria was separated by like 0.003 of a second due to a penalty. That's been a trend here in the eval races, but overall this was a very, very fantastic race. So anyone that you think TP should really keep an eye on for this race, because I mean, obviously Stoyan is going to be a top pick, but I think Whiff really, he's really done a lot of work today to really show that he is a really hot commodity to any of these TPs looking for a new driver.
Yeah, well, Whiff is the kick TP, so he doesn't need to worry about proving himself, luckily. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work in this division. It's such a tough one, the gap between Div 3 and Div 4, but there's a pretty evident fair chunk of this grid could go up. That drive from a lot of those guys tonight was all about just avoiding penalties and avoiding drama. I mean, we saw like four or five drive-through penalties at the start, which really changed the momentum of the race, because that took out the likes of Seba, Meso, all the guys that were super quick on the top pretty much. So very interesting result too, very interesting race, and then obviously Pit 2 straight after this would be interesting. But yeah, I think a few guys tonight may definitely put themselves on the radar. Meso, unfortunately I don't think it's full time, but with that time in quali, I mean, very, very good time. But there's your race results. Stoyan P1 with P2, RJ P3, Ralph P4, Swift P5, 2A P6, SJ P7, Wogjet P8, Gangster P9, Commuted P10, Trio P11, Chai Dung P12, Tyler P13, Meso 14, Salt 15, Hennessy 16, and VRB, Grito, Claire all unfortunately retiring. We saw Claire go flying through the air. We saw unfortunately VRB and Grito retire in the pits. So great race, a lot of upsets, a lot of surprises, but yeah, what was your thoughts overall, mate?
Yeah, that was, I mean, once again, it had some really good battling like we pretty much always can expect here at Rush Racing League from Singapore. But overall, I mean, that was a very chaotic race, very penalty heavy, and I think out of all the races, this is definitely the race that the drivers can learn from the most, because this is the trickiest track that was on the evaluation counter by a pretty decent margin. I mean, I still think race of the eval season was definitely Austria. I think that was definitely the most enjoyable race, but this race was still really good. So yeah, I mean, the TPs have a lot of decisions to make, and they're not going to be easy ones.
No, they're not. They're not going to be easy ones. You know, do you go for pace? Do you go for consistency? It's a very hard sort of fine line, and we'll have to wait and see what the guys do. Where everyone ends up will be a big deciding factor too on who gets picked and who not. And be pretty surprising. I think there might be some drivers that obviously don't get seats that are reserves, which could be a bit of an upset too. But yeah, that's it from Div 4. I'll wrap it up there so I can get ready for the next race. But yeah, mate, unless you have anything to say, we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, thank you guys so much for tuning on in. If you guys are brand new, be sure to go ahead and drop a follow. Also want to go ahead and give a massive thank you once again to Flubber the Clown for subscribing. It means a lot to us here at the league, and we really do appreciate the support. But yeah, stick around and tune in a few moments, and we'll go ahead and hop over to Division 2.
Yes, absolutely not long at all before on Div 2, but we'll see you all then, guys. Cheers.